everybody. I'm Andrea and I'm an ornithologist. I'm going to show you what the word ornithologist looks like. I'm an ornithologist, and that means I like to watch birds. Now when I'm watching the birds, I use my binoculars. You see my binoculars? And I put my eyes to the eye cups and look in the trees and the sky to see if I can see any birds. So can you see I'm using my binoculars to help me see the birds? And when I use my binoculars, it makes the bird seem bigger. I want to show you what the word binoculars looks like. Binoculars. And when I look through my binoculars, it helps me to see the birds in the trees and the birds in the sky that are a little bit too far away. And when I turn the focus wheel, it helps the bird to become very clear. So when I look at the wood pigeon in the tree just over here, makes the wood pigeon seem even bigger. And then I can use my telescope. My telescope to look for birds that are really, really far away, and it helps the bird to seem like it's closer. The telescope, when I look through the telescope, I look through the eyepiece at a lens, and that really helps me to focus on the birds that are really far away. The telescope moves around so that I can track the birds as they fly across the sky. And the telescope sits on top of a tripod with these 3 long legs that help to stand the telescope nice and tall. So the tripod is called the tripod because it has 3 legs. I'll show you what the word tripod looks like. Tripod. This is the tripod. And the telescope also begins with the letter T. It's a longer word. Telescope. And this is the telescope that helps me to look through the lens so that the birds can seem like they're even closer. Call is a magpie. I heard the magpie calling. It's a bit scritchy scratchy, and the magpie's call sounds a bit like he's saying chaka 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 chaka, because he's very noisy a big black and white bird. I think I might have a picture of the magpie in one of my books. I use the books to help me understand what the birds' names are and what they sound like. So here we have a picture of the magpie. And the magpie is a very large black and white bird, and they have very long tails. Their tails are so long that they are longer than their body. I have lots of books to help me study and to read all about the different birds that I see. So today I've been looking at a robin. And when I look at the robin, I look at the bird's mouth and learn all about what the bird's mouth is called. So the bird's mouth is called the beak. And just around the back here are the robin's wings. And below the wings are the tail. And then if we look round this side, we can see that the bird is covered in lots of feathers. And this robin, this part of the robin, the breast, is covered in red feathers. And below the breast are the paler feathers on the belly of the robin. And just underneath here are the legs, and below the legs are the toes and claws of the robin. And these claws will help the robin to grip tightly onto the branch. I'm looking to see what birds I might see flying or sitting in a tree. I'm looking to see if I can see a wood pigeon, I can hear one, or a blackbird, or even a house sparrow. I use my books to help me to identify what I'm looking at through my binoculars. I'll show you. Here in my book, I have two pictures. This one is the blackbird, and if you look closely, he has got a yellow bill and a yellow eye ring and all black feathers. And on the next page, you can see the house sparrow. And the house sparrow has a grey head and a black chin. You might look for these birds in your yard or in your park nearby or even in the garden. I found this book by Michael Warren. And what he likes to do is when he's finished watching the birds with his binoculars and his telescope, he likes to go home and draw the birds that he's seen. I'll open the book and show you some of the beautiful sketches. And when he draws these birds, he always remembers to draw the beak and the feathers and the legs and the claws and the eyes. And sometimes he even draws the birds sitting on a nest or flying in the sky. So, I like watching birds. I like reading about birds. And I like drawing the birds that I've seen. Maybe you could look out of your window to see if you can see any birds. And if you can see a tree, is there a bird hiding high up in the tree or even low down in the tree? why don't you see what birds you can find?